Security Halt podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan SARMs, Precision Wellness Group, and Pure Liberty Labs. Ben, welcome to Security Halt podcast. How's it going, man?
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Dude, it's an absolute pleasure, dude. It's I've been trying to make this happen, and then COVID came and kicked my ass. Right after getting back from Washington, having a great time with some fellow SEALs out there. Amazing tournament. Cannot wait to do it again next year. Hopefully I don't catch COVID because I'm spacing it now. It's not the SEAL Future Foundation. The Frogman Classic. There we go. Now I'm going to have to edit that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not much of a golfer. A buddy of mine, I was asking to go to the range, a SWAT buddy of mine, he's like, I got a golf tournament this Saturday. And then I had to send him this reel where it's like a dude talking about like going to the range and all that. And like, dude, the other dude thinks he's talking about golf, you know?
No, dude, I used to shit on golf all the time. And then thanks to my buddy, Alex Buggy, another great SEAL, he hit me up. He's like, hey man, come out to the Frogman Classic. And I'm like, dude, absolutely. Always have a blast with you. There's no way I'm going to say it. But I never played golf, so I got online, and luckily I found a great commercial for Sticks Golf. The price points, like if you've ever looked at golf clubs, they can get pretty freaking insane in price. I mean, I don't got that type of money, but I had enough to buy a nice decent set from Sticks, and dude, best fucking fun I've had in months.
Really?
I spend so much time in front of this camera recording podcast, or on the production side editing video, audio for other shows, and I am just constantly working nonstop. And that tournament was a break from God himself. It was so much fun, man, because we're with our type of people, man. Green Beret SEALs, and the people that support the golf tournament are amazing. I remember I walked up, I was like, fuck, dude, I'm gonna get partnered up with some of their big sponsors. And I'm not going to know what the fuck to do. And I'm like, hey, guys, never played golf. And they're like, we don't give a flying fuck, dude. We're out here to have fun. And they were totally awesome. Like the greatest people on earth. Learned so much about different industries, all the different sponsors that were out there. But yeah, shout out to anybody that's thinking of getting into golf. Check out Sticks. Go get yourself a decent pair of golf clubs and go out there and play, man. Because I'm telling you, there's so many missed opportunities that are going on golf courses around the world.
They always say the biggest friggin', executive corporate deals are made on golf courses.
Yeah, dude,
I golf.
Absolutely.
I went out. There's a Rockin' with the SEALs as an organization. I was last spring break, last March. I was out at Trump International.
Nice.
They held it there, and I went golfing on Trump International, and it was the same thing. I'm like, dude, I don't golf, guys, and they're like, come on, and I hit some ball. I looked like a retarded snow chimp. And then there was a waterfall. There was a waterfall there, and like I didn't want to get too wild because I'm like, I want to climb that waterfall, but I'll get kicked out.
Yeah. I could do this. Not today.
I want to climb the waterfall, jump down in the water, and then crawl out in mud like Predator. That's what I want to do.
Another great movie, dude.
That is my top movie of all time.
Yeah. I think those movies influence the whole culture of American men or young men to become great warriors, man.
Oh, they did.
Dude,
Danny, I almost went into Green Berets.
No way.
Yeah, because of Predator, honestly, because it was like I saw it when I was like 7 or 8, and I wanted to be like a Green Beret. I don't Fort brag like Jim Hopper, and that was like my. After I saw that, I'm like, I am going to be. But I don't know I think they were more like CAG guys with Arnold's crew, or like, some sort of.
There was something, but they
agency dudes or something. Yeah. But like, it was very Green Beret focused, and I was like, yes, that's what I'm doing. And then my whole, grade school, everything like Green Beret, and then I saw Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, these guys are pretty cool too. I mean, they're jumping off of bridges. I like jumping off of bridges. They like rushes. I like rushes. Because I basically lived my whole life around dopamine hits. And then I started reading the books, and then, it was like Buds, Buds is really hard and has a high attrition rate. And I ended up going the Buds route. But
yeah, dude, it's funny how American entertainment fuels the drive for so many of us to join the military.
Yeah. Dude, there's so many dudes that are like we're in the teams. Like, why are you here? Navy SEALs, Charlie Sheen, why not? I mean, like, that's why I'm here. And then you get there and it's like, this is nothing like the movie. What we don't
Oh
like
man.
we don't light alcohol. Well, some dudes do light alcohol on fire on the bar, but like it's like I mean, you know full well with the spec ops community. It's like what you think it's going to be, and then what it really is real time is just not as sensational as not even close to as sensational as the movies.
Dude, it's targeted, man. I was just watching the first Transformer, and that came out like right at the very beginning of GWAT, and the amount, it was just, all it is a giant propaganda film for special operations. Like the first, it's just highlighting soft dudes in the desert fighting a giant robot, and I'm like, man, how did we not know that this was propaganda?
Oh yeah, well, or like that, or that, the Navy SEALs movie that literally were Navy SEALs actors. I mean, stuff like that is like, obviously that was more of like a piece to like get people, to go in the military. But
yeah.
I'm actually working one of the actors of that movie, Act of Valor. I'm working with AJ next week on training a SWAT team. So
that's what it was, Act of Valor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
a movie unlike any movie you've seen before.
There's no shortages of team guys, selling action figures of themselves and doing stupid crap, in my opinion. So not that the guys in the movie were doing stupid crap, because they were kind of talking with AJ, they were forced to do it, type of thing.
That's what I heard. Yeah, it was a big, like, because it really was a recruitment thing.
But you get my point. There's no shortage of guys out there freaking peddling, basically pimping the Trident for freaking cash, man.
Yeah. It's everywhere now. It's everywhere. It's weird because I mean, you talked about it just a little bit ago. The books that the prior generation wrote about, whether it's like Desert One or Vietnam conflict. Like, a lot of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those books. Like, reading about MACV-SOG, like what those Green Berets did. But I feel like those stories weren't written in a way of like being a cash grab or to.
Well, yeah.
It was really to tell the insane stories that these men found themselves in. Whereas our generation, sure, we have those stories, but they're not as abundant as people think. And I think now we've gotten to the point where people are like, well, I got to come up with a story. I got to sell a real good story. I mean, there's not that many Ouroboros. There's not that many.
But it's not like, it's more like you said, it's more like they were documenting history in a way.
Yeah.
Because I was like obsessed in high school once I decided to go to the Buds route with reading Patches Watson Vietnam SEAL books.
Yeah.
The Men with Green Faces and all that. Like, that was, literally that's all I did. I didn't even, my senior year, I didn't even bring any books home. I was just reading those books and working out. But yeah, it's definitely because of the social media thing and and dudes just freaking sell out for money. And it's sad when you see a guy that you worked with that was seemingly a good dude, or at least an okay dude, and then you just see him this line about stuff and just making money, and they've separated themselves from like all the dudes that they worked with, because as you know, when you cross that precipice of actually lying about a story, like, most of the time the story, unless you're Tim Kennedy, the story itself has merit, but they're themselves in positions they weren't in, and situations. The story's true, but they're making themselves, like you just said, they are making themselves the hero for the accolades, for the likes, for the, and the podcast thing, it's like, I don't have really a problem with podcasts, but you know how it goes. It's like, once a dude gets fame on social media, they do the round robin, podcast thing. And, it's, some of these well-known podcasters out there that I worked with, I've texted them like, hey, I wouldn't have that dude on. He's a friggin' liar, and they don't care, because
it'll get views.
Yeah. It means freaking cash flow for them. So,
yeah. And I think the truth and what we really need to understand is, like, stories are important. Being able to share and inspire the next generation is truly important. Is your story just self-service, or is it promoting the best aspect of the military, of your service, highlighting your brothers and sisters around you and the great situations you could have found yourself, or the funny situation you could have found yourself
Oh, yeah.
in. 'Cause every story matters, and I don't. The one thing I've realized that it has when we start finally pushing back, some people might say, "Well, okay, well, his stories aren't real, then why do my stories matter?" It's like, wait a second, no, no, no,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
your story matters, not this guy's. This shit's sci-fi. If honestly, if you would have just approached it from the sci-fi point of view, it would have probably been okay. But
Yeah, yeah.
people are just getting so wrapped up around the idea that they have to have the next great war story and hero story rather than just telling an authentic, true story.
Yeah. And I like funny stories. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, like I like storytelling, but I like telling funny stories that, that of situations that, I mean, I like that, but but like you just said, it's, you don't want to take away from like dudes that actually have like good stories, but any, I guess I could say any tactically astute individual, obviously guys from our community, can watch a dude on a podcast and know within 5 minutes of whether or not that dude's a douche canoe. Like just by the way he's, the voice inflection and the way he's saying stuff, it's very easy to tell a tall tailor.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and it gets, man, and everything lives on forever. It's a cautionary tale, though, for everybody. It's like, look, what you say will get brought back into the light,
Oh yeah.
and people
Yeah.
will find it. They will archive it.
Yep. Exactly.
But diving into your story now, like, you found yourself attracted to this life, this idea of becoming a Navy SEAL. Oftentimes, when you're a young man, that you can dream, you can have these big aspirations, but what was the defining, like, final, like, nail in the coffin? What was the driving force that finally said, "You know what? I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna raise my hand. I'm gonna enlist."
Well, I mean, obviously, the Predator thing and all the action movies I grew up with my dad showing me. I mean, my childhood was like my dad is a very interesting individual. He's on the spectrum a little bit, like a little bit of Asperger's, like he's kind of like the accountant, like just doesn't show any emotion. But like he did tons of stuff with us. Like he took us fishing and hunting. Like I grew up going out to up to Ontario to Quetico National Park, backpacking and canoeing between lakes, and he'd make me
Wow.
carry heavy stuff. And I like loved just dopamine and adventure because of the structure that my dad had raised us in. I mean, he had weird games. I mean, just he wasn't like out back throwing a baseball. Instead, it was like, hey, you and your brother go hide in the basement, pitch black basement, and I'm gonna go down there and find you. And he'd have a wiffle ball bat, and then he'd find us and hit us with the wiffle ball bat. And and like that like seems very weird to people, but like that was like how my dad played with us. Like, and honestly, like to this day, I still remember like listening, like trying to skip breathe and be real quiet. And I know he's down there because I heard the door close and he finds my brother and that sound of that plastic hitting the skin. And my brother's like, "No, Dad, no." And then I know he's after me, and I'm like, I'm having a rush, and it was fun actually. Like, I mean, there's no point to the game, but that kind of stuff, you're just growing up in that way, and wanting to be around men that liked to do wild stuff. I mean, it's like not just the teams, any soft community is like the greatest thing ever when you get around these guys, because you think you're weird with like normal societal people. They don't understand your humor. They don't understand why you want to like jump off a bridge from Jeep, and then you get around these dudes and like you're like a very normal person, like because every other dude is like that. And when I got into high school, I'd already, I mean, I'd wanted to do the commando, like be a commando, but I did. It wasn't like till high school to where I was like, okay, what does this actually, look like other than just like being an action movie commando here, guy. So that's when I did the research and looked at the different programs, and I ended up choosing the Buds program. At least from the books that I was reading, it was like Buds has the highest attrition rate because of Hell Week. What in my high school, my young high school mode, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I got to go to that. I got to go do that. And which I didn't really like the water. Really, I mean, I wasn't like into like swimming or anything like that. Like I went to the Navy recruiter, and it was a skinny little rail dude and like skinny little rail guy, and he's like, and I'm like, hey, I want to be a SEAL. And he's like, all right, well, you got to join the Navy. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be in the Navy.
This episode is brought to you by Pure Liberty Labs. Quality supplements designed to elevate your health and performance. Check out their full line of quality supplements, whether you're looking for whey protein, pre-workout, creatine, or a super greens drink. Pure Liberty Labs has you covered. Use my code SecurityHalt10 at checkout today.
Like, can I go in the Army and then go to Buds, you know? And he's like, no, you got to go. You got to. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the fastest track that I can get to Buds? And, you know, at the time they had a SEAL Challenge program. I mean, they probably have that now still, but, you know, I signed up the contract, you know, contractually they have to allow me, you know, to go to Buds. It wasn't like an actual billet. It was just in boot camp, they gave you the opportunity to, you know, take the screening test and all that kind of stuff. You know, like I said, that senior year, I didn't care about, like, after football season, like, I had to maintain a certain GPA for football. But after that, I didn't care. You know, I basically graduated myself mentally from school. And I did these ridiculously, I mean, I look back at it now and I was like, that was like the most over the top workouts. Like, I mean, ridiculous. Like 5 days a week, going home from, like, swimming in the morning at school for an hour and a half during my gym class, going home, running 3 miles, taking a canoe down to a river and paddling up the river, going to the gym, you know, like all in one day. And because I was like, well, you know, this is how the shape you have to be in to make it through Buds. And then you get into boot camp and you're taking a screening test and you're like, oh, these guys are just average dudes. I mean, most of them, you know what I mean? They're just average dudes. And then you show up to Buds and you think like all the dudes are going to look like John Matrix, you know, from Commando. And you're looking at dudes and, you know, obviously dudes that have brown shirts have made it through Hell Week, and you get there and you're obviously sizing dudes up and you're looking at guys and you're like, what? Like that? Oh, I'm doing this. Like, that dude has a brown shirt, you know? And because there is no like one, and I don't care if it's Buds, I don't care what it is. You name the soft, you know, group, there's no like one mold that fits all. I mean, you tend to not have a ton of dudes that look like Schwarzenegger, like a ton of just giant muscle bound dudes, because it's not operationally you know, it's not.
Absolutely, dude. I say it all the time.
It's not.
The Hollywood idea is completely off the mark. It's like the wiry, like, hybrid athlete kid, like, that's the majority of like the top performer dudes, like, and everybody else that wants to just be a meathead, and for us, you end up on a free fall team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not.
They make them big and dumb in Planet Free Fall.
Well, I've known a few big muscle bound dudes that weren't good in the air. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that is true.
It was like, you know, that was my world. That was, you know, you always get the question of like, you know, how'd you make it through Buds? It was so hard. And like, I honestly, like, said it was like, for me at 19, it was fun. Like I liked the excitement of what was happening. You know, I had this thing that with growing up where I always wanted to impress my dad, you know, with anything. Like I was the kid that was like, Dad, look at this, you know, I'm doing a wheelie off of, you know, a ramp or something, or I built some treehouse and I'm jumping out off into a bush or something. Like, and so like, I like to, you know, I guess impress my dad. And so I get to Buds, and then now the Buds instructors are like these father figures or deranged father figures, you know, and I'm like, and I want to impress them. So I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like they're going to make us do an obstacle course. I love this. Like, you know,
it's the best day ever.
I mean, it's like to say that like stuff didn't suck, you know, like Hell Week sucks, but it was still like, I like situations where it's just out of control. Like I don't have control over the situation. Like I just like that because like I like the unknown of like, oh, what's going to happen next? And so for me, all through Buds, especially during Hell Week, like I didn't stick around and not quit because I'm like super tough and, you know, I'm just a badass friggin', you know, like some of these team guys out there. Like I stuck around in Hell Week because I wanted to see what was coming next. Like, you know, like I was like, what's going to happen next? Like someone could die doing this. Like if they keep us, if they keep us in the surf zone, you know, for much longer, like someone could die. Like I don't want to miss that. Cause like like in high school, I was like, if you mixed like, I'm a little more different in my 40s, but like in high school, if you mixed like Tweeter from Varsity Blues and Stifler together, that was kind of me. So I was just like,
Potent mix.
yeah, I know it's a weird mix, but like, I wanted to always be at the life of the party or be around the action. And so I was like, I didn't want to quit because I was like, I don't want, like, what are they going to do next? And then when I try to tell, there's been a few young men that I've, tried to give some tips about buds and Hell Week and stuff. And if you think along like just it, embracing the moment of the evolution and like, this is what's going on, like, and you don't focus on like, Thursday or, you're just like, this is going to end. What's going to happen next? Oh, and then you just take that evolution. And it's when because like, I mean, obviously you probably heard like the majority of guys quit Hell Week in the first 48 hours and you're not that beat down yet. You're not that bad. You're not like a freaking walking zombie by day 5. Like, so the reason for that is because it's mental and because the instructors know how to play those mental games and make students think, because obviously the first 24 hours is like, insanity, running down to the elf ages with the boats, all this surf torture that first night and all this stuff. And so guys are thinking to themselves, like, if this intensity is 5 days long, there's no way that I can't do this. And obviously they're like, it starts Sunday night, like, but like Sunday night in the surf zone, they're like, don't worry, all you got is, Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Tuesday morning, and guys are like processing that like mentally, and they're like, no way, no way. And I was just, and again, I'm just thinking like, oh, what could possibly happen on Thursday? I don't, it could be interesting. Like, so yeah, that's how most of buds work for me.
Man,
And I was like in phenomenal, like, I mean, I was the top, I had the top O course time and top runner in my class. Like I was in the shape that I wish I was in now, which I'm totally not, but I, kind of like you can't hurt me type thing,
Yeah.
shape. So
Yeah, that's
that helped. It's not the end all be all, but it definitely helped because, the other thing is I'm sure it's the same in your selection. You want to like gain the trust of the instructors or have the instructors like look at you as like, that's a good dude. He is potential for, someone I would want to work with at the team and go to combat with. And so they do play favoritisms and, or not necessarily favoritisms, but like if they don't like you, like if you don't put out and they see weakness or they see something that it is, at first when the day one of buds, like, because I'm so freaking pasty and white, I had my shirt off in those UDT trunks and they were making me do flutter kicks. And they're like, I had 3 instructors like screaming at me, like, are you albino? And, and I was like, and I'm like doing these flutter kicks and I'm like, no, 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 I'm not albino. I got blue eyes. And, and they're like, we don't like weak genes, and so at first they were on my ass because they thought I was like somehow, genetically defective. Uh, but like, you gain their trust and they know you're a good dude. And then they kind of, and I'm sure, like I said, it's the same with you guys. They lay off like the personal, because like if an instructor doesn't like a dude, I don't care how much of a badass you are or how in shape you are, they'll just smoke you and then you do like before the run or before the swim, and you physically won't be able to pass it. So, if you again, like the deranged father figure thing, if they're on your side and they think you're a good dude, it does work out to your benefit. It was hard for me because I'm so freaking white. We have our shirts off all the time. Like, to my social media, I posted many, many, many clips from my buds class, from class 242. For some reason, our proctor, I don't even know why he was allowed to do it. Cause as far as I know, I mean, there's little clips of SEAL training, and things, but as far as like a lot of raw footage, there's not like you have the Discovery Channel thing, the 234, but he filmed with like an old school camera. Our proctor just walked around and filmed like most of all of our first phase. And then he gave us a DVD after we were done with first phase. And like I didn't know where the thing went. And like a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I was in my parents' basement. My mom's like, "Hey, I got your stuff, old military stuff." And I found the DVDs and I was like, "Holy crap." My Buds DVDs, and I had them transferred to digital, and I posted, not raw. I haven't posted a ton of raw footage, just a lot of like reels and different things like that. But like you can, if all the stuff that I'm posting with me in it, it is like, oh my gosh, what the heck is that freaking chem light doing in the middle of the pool? So they would see me, you know what I mean? If my back wasn't straight, like you look out, I got videos of like all the dudes on the grinder doing PT, and you can look over all the dudes, and you know how like every dude with a shaved head looks kind of similar, and you just right there, just a giant, there's a snow chimp right in the middle, just glowing. So they would know, like they'd be like, literally, there'd be like every dude around me without their back straight. They'd be like, "Whoa, get your back straight!" And I'm like, "What the heck?"
This is racial profiling.
Yes, yes, this is white man profile.
Oh man.
It was I mean, even when I show up to the pool, my biggest fear, Denny, like going like from high school when going into Buds wasn't like really any part of the training that I was concerned about. It was if they don't let me put sunblock on, like out there at the pool all day in those little UDT trunks, AUDT trunks, like I'll die. Like I'll get so burned that I'll die. And so that was like a big worry for me. And like, cause I'm like, I'm not going to say like, "Hey, I need sunblock or I can't do this." I'm just gonna have to deal with it. But like they made me put sunblock on. That zinc oxide stuff,
Yeah, the good
cool.
stuff.
Yeah. And like they made some dude usually like they'd bring me front and center, and they'd make some dude like put it over me all like centrally and stuff. They'd be like, apply sunscreen to
You there? You're his oil boy. So I love about instructors. They make anything 10 times more fun by going by the book. If anything has to be done so like procedural, step by step, they will find a way to make it hilarious. Usually at your expense as a student.
Yeah. I would have actually loved to be a Buds instructor. I never took the billet or anything or had the opportunity, but like I think it would be fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing I looking back, I wish I would have gone and done some swig time and maybe done selection. Because you have the ability 100%, you can impact the rest of the force for generations to come just by being there, being a good steward and selecting the right person to come through and watching and advising and those people make it through, they become NCOs, they become leaders in organizations and so on and so on and so forth. And if you are able to assess the right candidates and get the right people in the right jobs, and next thing you know, like you're creating next generation of leaders. But it takes it really does take a mature, dedicated senior leader to see those positions as being valuable.
Yeah.
Because when the moment you get on the team, you get operational, you're like, I don't want to fucking leave.
No, well, especially like I don't know when you went through the Q course. Like when I was in Buds in 2002, like the instructors there like wanted to go to war. You know what I mean? Because like literally things just started happening, and like most of these guys are all '90s eras dudes that did nothing. I mean, that's one of the things like people don't realize is that like pre 9/11 guys didn't. And again, I'm not taking away from like the dudes that served during that time period, because here's the deal: any soft dude or team guy, like you put them in combat, they're going to do the same thing everyone else does, which kind of goes back to like those war stories. Like every dude, at least that I worked with, would do the same, would react the same way, would do the job the same way, and would accomplish whatever needed to be accomplished. And some guys were just put in, you know what I mean? Like we had this one particular guy in a platoon that like he just somehow found the action all the time. Like he was shooting these guys over here, nothing was going on over here. Like it was like he was like an action magnet. And but it's like any other dude in the platoon would do the same thing. Like they would react the same. So like even those, the '90s guys, they would do the GWAT, they'd be totally, and many of the guys went, off to war. So it's not taking away anything from them, but when you're going on booze cruises all the time on deployment, or I'm sure like, Green Beret, SF dudes were probably doing a lot of stuff and, training, Jundies stuff. Like you want to do the job that you signed up for. So, obviously those buds instructors were like, not only did they not really someone want to be there because they wanted to go to war, but then they were like, you know, we're going to war now, guys. You know what I mean? It was like this, like, now we need to make things even more crazy as shit. Like, like buds is hard enough in itself, but now it's like, we're going to war. Like,
This episode is also brought to you by Precision Wellness Group. Getting your hormones optimized shouldn't be a difficult task, and Dr. Taylor Bosley has changed the game. Head on over to precisionwellnessgroup.com, enroll, and become a patient today.
So it's like, it's not a, like you said, it's not like usually a billet guys want to take unless they, usually need a break for family reasons or something like that. But yeah, it was, an interesting time to say the least to go through buds. And
yeah, right at the beginning of it all, man.
Like I said, I enjoyed buds. I don't, like I said, I thought it was it was fun.
Yeah. And what was it like finally getting on a team, getting operational?
For my guys that graduated in 242, most of those guys stayed in the West Coast. I went to the East Coast because, I am just not like West Coast. Too many granola eaters out there for me. I went to the East Coast. Originally, I checked into Team 8. And then, I don't know if you remember, there was like this thing called Force 21 that happened in like 2000, early 2003-ish, I want to say. But basically, it was like they were deploying a whole bunch of more dudes than usual. There was a bunch of like moving around and shifting dudes from this team to this team and stuff. Like I checked into Team 8, me and the other two new guys that came from my class. And then we went through like a little bit of the land warfare workup, like like 2 months. And then we got switched over to 2. And then that's where I stayed until, my 8 years was all 2. So it was, we deployed, sooner. We also we only did like a half workup and then we deployed. Oh, it wasn't like your typical, it was like most of the time, guys like they show up to the team and they're like, ready to go to war, but you do like a year workup. Like you do a year workup cycle and, you got to hit all the blocks, which is like all these different areas that you have to be proficient in, which is why like a lot of there's a saying in the teams, like the jack of all trades, master of none type saying, because it's like, you're going to friggin' Hawthorne, Nevada for Humvee stuff for 3 weeks, like Shaw's in South Haven, Mississippi for 2 weeks, Louisville for 2 weeks, land warfare at Chaffee for 5 weeks, like, and you're only having like a weekend, but it is not a, and I'm sure it's the same with SF. Like, it is not an environment that is conducive for family.
No,
like
no. And they worked hard to make it better, but man, the op tempo and the requirements, it's like, fuck, dude. Like, how are you going to master everything under the sun and still have some time to breathe?
Yeah, be home like for a week, or maybe 2 weeks at the most, and then you're going on the next trip. And like even when we were home in between these in the workup trips, like I was the ordnance guy, which I wish to God I had not volunteered for that. They had the new guys and they're like, hey, you guys got to be in, department reps. Like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. What is there? And they're like, and I like guns and stuff. And they're like, oh, there's ordnance. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. No, I did it my entire time in the teams. And it's like, you got to do inventories on every optic, every freaking rifle, you got to get all the ammo for the trips. You got to, like, dudes they just come and they like, with like they yard sale their stuff in front of me, like, I need a new this, I need a new that, like, look what happened to this, and then I got to take it over to the logistics guys and get it fixed. It was horrible.
It's called being an 18 Bravo. Yeah,
is it?
It's fun. It's
dude, it's
fuck. They really undersold that part of the job with like, you're gonna be everybody's fucking arms room fucking bitch. Like, oh god, the amount of times I have to go on to beg, plead, and borrow for fucking new equipment, new furniture for somebody's fucking, I want to have this type of foregrip, and you don't have it. You got to figure it out. And it's like, fuck, dude. But the layouts, the inventories, the fucking,
yeah.
but that's like the little shit.
And then like the snipers all had like 5 different rifles, which they only used freaking one of them. And I'm loading these stupid things on every trip, and it was kind of annoying, but whatever. Like I took advantage of it. Like like in those early days, there wasn't a lot of, I'm sure it's way different now, but like there wasn't a lot of oversight with like the guns. Like I literally would go home on leave and I would take my entire weapons box home, everything. And I'd be coyote hunting with my dad with my friggin' PBS 15s and my, my PEC 2, I mean, like there was no oversight on breaching charges. There was like no oversight. Like
The Wild West.
yeah. Like dude, like there was a guy and I can't remember his name. Some guy like a team 2, maybe he was a teammate. It was like right when I was a new guy and I checked in. It was probably teammate or something like that. I can't remember specifically, but because there was no oversight, like, I mean, every dude took ammo home. I mean, that's like across the board. Like, but
Allegedly.
ammo was like, the log suit guys, they give it to you and then they're like, don't bring it back if you broke it open, and guys go shoot it at the range, all that kind of stuff. But like some guys, took stuff they shouldn't have. And I remember there was like a dude that had a bad divorce and the wife ratted him out and like found a bunch of stuff in his attic. I mean, like C4 blocks and grenades and all kinds of stuff. And then the CO, I think it was at 2, now that I think about it, like had like a meeting and said, if any of you guys have this, like your houses are being searched, which was all like scare tactics type of thing. But he's like, there's a dermo bin in the locker room. Just put stuff, get rid of it. No questions asked. Dude, there was like a law that showed up in there. There was like AIDS and like all this stuff, And just like it was kind of, I'm not saying it was the Wild West, but it was a lot different probably than it is now.
Yeah. We had the same situations. We've had a lot of the same unfortunate events, guys going through divorce and things get found. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a couple 5.56 magazines and a few extra rounds here and there, but there have been some insane shit found during some of these investigations, and it's because you pissed off your wife. Like, it's like, fuck, dude, like you should not have a laser designator at your house. Like, that's like, how the fuck did you get that? Like, how did you get a Carl Gustav at your house? Like, let alone rounds for said Gustav. Like, what the fuck? Just wild shit.
My wife, she let me out. My wife, she goes to authorities.
But yeah, like you get the hammer drops, and then before you know it, we have the mass friggin' amnesty period, and you go see the amnesty box, and it's overfilled with shit, and you're just like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm glad I moved away from the area. But let me tell you, yeah, like it's all fun and games, and I remember, fuck, he's still I think he's still in. I remember helping one of my friends. Fuck you. I won't say your name, but it's a funny story. I remember having a friend of mine that was getting out of the military, and he's like, I need to get rid of this stuff. I was like, well, I mean, don't go crazy. I mean, like, we can go have fun on a weekend.
Yeah, let's go shoot.
Yeah. There's not
the ammo thing, like they would say, like, don't bring it back. So it's not like, I mean, and you're using it like, I mean, it's like a freaking professional golfer bringing golf clubs home or golf balls home from the thing. I mean, it's like, dude, you're using it. It's part of the job. But like you said, in those early days, there was some things.
Yeah. When your friend calls you to do a spendex and it literally like entails the entire back of their truck, it's like, bro, like, this is a bit ridiculous. Like, these are our personal barrels. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm gonna fucking
wait for like the value of the training for the platoon or something.
Yeah. It some of it did get turned back in. It's like, dude, at that point, just fucking bury it. Just have a cachet.
Well, my point with the ordnance thing was like, even when we were home in between these little stints, like I would have to go to the team, get all the stuff ready for the next trip. So I was like still at the team from like, 7 to 4, sometimes 5. So dude, I was never home. Like,
yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. People don't understand. Everybody has this idea that it's like everybody does 20, 30 years. But the reality is, like, a lot of people want to have a family. They want to have a life after service. And it's like, look, 14, 15, 13 years. Okay, man, like the op tempo was enough. It's time for me to go. Like, when did you figure out it was time for you to leave?
So I 2000 and so I like went in 2001, showed up to the team 2000 through early 2003. 2010 is when I left active. I did 2 years of SEAL Team 18, which was gayer than AIDS.
Is that a reserve SEAL team?
Yeah, it's like 18's the East Coast one and 17's the West Coast.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, they don't typically like, all their deployments and stuff are like FID stuff. Like they're not doing any kind of, rotations, in real stuff. I mean, not to say that they wouldn't, but at least at the time it wasn't like that. But for me it was kind of like what I told you, like the op tempo, was heavy, multiple deployments, just a little getting kind of burnt out, like, but I took so I r my after my 3rd platoon, I took, kind of a shore not it's technically a shore duty, but, like, I was gone still, like, 2 weeks at a time, and I was at our assault cell teaching, CQB tactics, CQC, down in Mid-South in, South Haven, Mississippi. So we were, like, there for 2 weeks teaching whatever task unit or troop came through, and then we'd be back at the beach for, like, a week or 2, maybe 2 weeks, usually not, and then back at, Mid-South and stuff. And during that time, so a lot of my good friends, like my close friends had gone, had already had or were on their way to screen or had screened for green team to go over to Dam Neck to Dep Group. And I was kind of like torn about like I kind of wanted to stay in, I but talking with the wife and obviously like I'm trying to make this a decision between both of us. And my Fallujah deployment, I kind of had a little bit of a spiritual change or a change in my life where I was looking at things a little bit differently than just like the grind with the bros, and just staying in the war path. But I, decided to stay at Assault Cell. Potentially, I that's why like I after my or I kept extending towards the end of that period. Like when I was at Assault Cell, I'd extend another 6 months. And then I extended another, 6 months because I just didn't know if I wanted to get out or stay. And I was in this like torn, like, what do I do? And I had 2 daughters at the time and, we wanted to have more kids. I have 4 kids now, but, I just, with the wife involved in the decision, I decided to, get out. Which, not to say that dudes that stay in and do the careers and my buddies that went over to, Dam Neck and stuff that they didn't have, couldn't have, good families and, be good dads and stuff. But as it's difficult. You're not there. I grew up with a dad that was, like I told you, was always taking us doing stuff. And so I kind of wanted to have that for, my family. And so I, I left the teams and then didn't know what I was going to do though. Cause I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
like, and I've seen other your podcasts and stuff. Like the transition thing can be difficult, because like if somebody said like Ben, you can make $150,000 and sit in this cubicle and write TPS reports, or you can make $60,000 out back and push a fresh turd in the field back and forth. Like I will push the fresh turd in the field. So, um,
Sir, you had me at turd.
yeah. So I'm like, I can't go any sort of corporate, like, you don't want me in a corporate world. Like I'm I will be a HR nightmare. I can't, it has to be something that is some relatable or, something for, getting out. And so my brother was a fireman, here where I live now, I'm outside of Peoria, Illinois, but he was a fireman in Peoria, Illinois, and I was talking with him, and he's like, "Hey, they like military guys. Like, I already talked to the chief; they'll hire you, And I was like, "Oh, I can do that. I could be a fireman. Like, my dad was a part-time fireman as a kid. I remember his bunker gear in the truck, and I'm like, yeah, I think I could do that. I can make that transition. So I got out with like that in mind, and then they had a hiring freeze for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, where they weren't,
Shit.
where they just weren't hiring.
Yeah.
And so I get out, and he gives me that memo, and I'm like, crap, I got to put food on the table. My wife has always been a homemaker slash sandwich maker, which, even if she was here, I would say that because we joke about it, but because she likes being a mom and doing the mom. But,
This episode is brought to you by Titan SARMs. Head on over to titansarms.com and buy a stack today. Use my code CDenny10 to get your first stack. I recommend the Lean Stack 2. Start living your best life. Titan SARMs. No junk, no bullshit, just results.
But yeah, so I was like, I got to find work, and the only thing that I can do is gunsling for money right now. And so I ended up doing GRS. You know, I worked with quite a bit of SF dudes on that contract, and because it was a hodgepodge of, you know, SEALs, PJs, combat controllers. And there's also a lot of Force Recon guys on that contract, at least the particular one where I was at and stuff in Baghdad. So I ended up doing the GRS thing. You know, I got out wanting to, like, you know, be home more, but then I ended up, you know, doing a lot of trips because, dude, you're making buku bucks. I mean, it was like 21,000 a month, you know, coming in. My wife's like, she's like, well, we are going to do the fire thing. You know, she's like looking at these paychecks. She's like, we want to do the fire thing. We want to do the fire thing, you know, but like for now, let's just, you know, do this. And I'm like, okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I did a lot of trips back to back and back to back. But yeah, it's just funny. Like in the contract world, it's like you take a bunch of these knuckle draggers and you make them, I mean, some of these dudes were doing like 300-day rotations.
Damn.
Like, yeah. Cause like, I guess if you did like 310 days or something like that, it was tax free, like the money. But you had dudes doing like that amount of time in country. Like I think it was after 100 days, something like that, you had to leave for 2 weeks. Like, didn't matter where you went. You just had to leave and then you could come back. But guys were doing like crazy rotations, you know, and they're at the chow hall talking about like their friggin', you know, Raptor Ford truck and their boat. And they, you know, you got a bunch of these knuckle draggers, just like, now they're like higher income, higher class people. And it's a recipe for disaster. Like, you know, some guy talking about like, he just got back from Vegas, you know, 50 grand in. And I'm like, just like, save your money. You could literally set yourself up for like, I mean, and a few guys were, you know, tactful with that. And they, you know, kind of, you know, franchise a Jimmy John's or like something that they invested it with, you know, but yeah, it was, you know, it was a good contract. It was one of the better contracts because did you ever do any contract work at all?
No.
It's kind of one of those things where it's nepotistic in a way where you just, once guys get in that world, it's like, talk to this dude, talk to this, like finding a contract that's good, that pays good, that is not some, you know, horrible thing. You don't want to, you know, standing outside of a gate, you know, for Dynacore, you know, in a area or something like that, you know.
Had a friend of mine did fall victim to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a lead contractor. Now you're a gate guard.
Well, even the static, you know, like the GRS thing had a static side and a mobile side. Obviously, I was on the mobile side, but even those static guys were making like $550 or something a day or something like that. So,
yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to walk away from too, though. But did you find yourself just staying there long enough to get that nest gag up, and then
yeah, pretty much. I took a pretty brutal spanking on my house in Virginia Beach. It was like the Obama, you know, it was, yeah. So I, unfortunately, the nest egg just went to, like, you know, not be out of that situation. But yeah, I eventually the fire thing came up and I took the job, and I, you know, I didn't like say that I'm leaving the contract world. I just took the fire job and, you know, started it out, and it was, I liked the fire side of things, like, you know, extricating people out of cars, cutting holes in roof fire. I did not like the EMS side at all. And that was 90% of the job, you know, going at 2 a.m. for some dude that crapped his pants and you got to move him to his chair or something like that, you know. They sent a giant fire truck to move a dude that fell out of his, you know, recliner, or a lift assist. I mean, it's crazy. Like, because like growing up, I was like, dude, we wouldn't call 911 unless like you're bleeding from the jugular, but not in
today's world.
in certain areas, particularly, you know, bad areas of neighborhoods and things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird thing that we've grown used to, is now utilizing our fucking fire departments as our for everything. Everybody, like, the amount of times, and it's funny, but the morbidly obese person that needs to get help out of their home into the back of a truck, and it's like it's a fireman. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like you have reached a point in your life where you need someone to move you to your next location. Like, I think it's disgusting. Like, I hate it. Like, I like obese people anyways. Like, it's a huge thing for me. I think our country's obese. I think that you go to the water park and everyone's obese. I mean, literally, and like 80% of the people, and you're just like, what the f? Like, what is going on? It is horrible. I mean, I like that. There's a reel with the President Kennedy about those gym standards he had in like the '60s, and like, it's like dudes like from the clips are like doing pegboards and push-ups, and they're like
Yeah.
cut backs and ripped, and I'm like, dude, we are so far from that. Like, we are very pathetic now as a nation.
It's insane. If you look at the footage of just everyday average Americans at the beach in like the 1970s versus today,
Oh,
holy shit.
dude,
Um,
and it's all like, all the I work, I lift every day and go to the gym and stuff, obviously like you and my whole life, but like I don't have like this particular program and I'm gonna weigh out, I'm gonna weigh out this and weigh out this and like, dude, just go put out more than you put in your suck hole. Like
yeah.
that is like diet.
Yeah.
Stop feeding your suck hole and put out, it doesn't matter if it's in the gym, go walk, go do something like just
Be active.
stop being sedentary and feeding your suck hole. Like it's not hard. Like it's not rocket science. Like, but people just can't stop feeding their suck hole. So
Yeah.
I told my wife, I was like, early on in our marriage, I'm like, I will never have fat kids. Like I won't. Like they will be running around the block behind my truck, before that happens. I don't like it because it's just, I think as a society, we're headed towards, getting worse with that. And
Man. Yeah,
that,
people think it's funny, but it really isn't. Um, we're we're trending in a yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad that our general American public can't figure out what to eat, and that fast food isn't or shouldn't be part of your daily fucking diet. Like,
a giant, I mean, it's like, I'm just going to get my Coke with my lunch and it's freaking a barrel. Like, I mean, it's
yeah,
horrible, horrible.
diabetes shouldn't be a part of your life. It shouldn't be just a natural progression to diabetes and acceptance. Like, dude, you can fight back, you can overcome so many things. You just have to be willing to not be lazy. And it's
Yeah, yeah.
sad to see that so many people are just accepting it. And then, like, the body positivity movement. It's like, no, dude, like,
Yeah,
some
no.
people just look gross.
Yeah,
Just
no.
sorry. That's
Yeah,
just the truth.
it is. It is. I mean, it's like somebody needs to just, but like the thing that bothers me the most, like, and even in, and particularly in Christianity and stuff with churches is like, you know, if somebody saw me with like a beer and a cigarette, not that I smoke, but like if a church saw like pastor saw me with a beer and a cigarette, it'd be like, the most wicked evil thing ever. But like the pastor up in the pulpit is obese and he can just sit there and be obese. Like that drives me nuts. It's like
It was
it's
funny. My
you are you're up there like representing like God's word and like
yeah,
supposed to be a leader and all this stuff. And by what you look like tells me you have no self control. Like you don't have any discipline. And I hate it. Like I just
yeah.
can't stand
It's so fucking true, man. It's so true. But how did you find your way into the entrepreneurial space? How did you figure out that you wanted to actually like create something and throw your hat in the ring? Because let me tell you, like, it is one of the hardest things I've ever tried doing myself, was to come up and find my own way in this path of like starting a small business.
So I did the fire thing. The wife looked at the paycheck. He said, she's like, this isn't going to work for us. And I'm like, really? And she's like, no, you got to find, and most firemen have like other jobs and things, and stuff because it's 24-hour, 48-hour shift. But I ended up staying in the contract world and I would trade time.
Mm.
I started, figuring out like, could I be gone for a month, go make a bunch of money, and then come back and just trade 10 shift days and, use vacation time and, all that kind of stuff and move stuff around. So that's what I ended up doing, uh, you know, to supplement the lack of, because you don't realize, like, and I'm sure, SF's the same, like you make a decent amount of money in those units because you have all these special pays, you have all this stuff. I didn't realize, like, as a senior E6 who actually took the chief's test, they didn't promote me because I didn't stay in, how much I was making, with all the pays. And I just thought that translated to the fire service, and it didn't. But so I stayed in the contract world, and the fire thing. Got kind of burnt out from shift work. I had some, major, pretty significant sleeping problems from shift work and from the schedule that I was doing. And I decided for my own health, to leave the fire service. And then I was like, okay, am I going to just do contract work now? And I kind of was, I don't know, like, the kids were getting older. We were going on lots of trips, rock climbing trips and camping trips were going all the time. And I was like, I don't want to really go overseas anymore and be gone. And so I was like, what can I do stateside? And so I started working with some guys that I was with at Team 2 in the early days, and some other buddies that I had that worked for a company called Tomahawk Strategic Solutions. And they offered me to be a contractor with them, just go out and train SWAT teams in CQB and CQC. And so I started doing that. And, that is a fantastic, I mean, honestly, it's one of the best companies out there, for training, because it's all friggin' tier 1 dudes that run, that run the company and that go out on trips and all kind of stuff. Either Delta guys or development group guys. And so I was doing trips with them, as a contractor. And, I was getting trips, but again, I got 4 kids, and like I got to take out a loan to friggin' go out to dinner, like, type of thing. And with this economy, it was rough, like, to cover the bills. And so I kind of asked them if I could start my own local thing in Illinois, and they didn't have an issue with it. And so so when I did the contract work, I had to have an LLC anyways. That's kind of how you got paid and all that. And like years ago, when I started the contract work, the wife was like, what do you want your business name to be? And I was like, because it was on paper, I was like, Vanilla Gorilla Security, because like Vanilla Gorilla was one of the many nicknames of mine and the teams, like Snow Chimp and Powder and Almighty Whitey and those types of things. So I started the business, I started the LLC, and that's how I did the contract work. So I already had it. So I was like, I'm going to just like get some guys that want to train up law enforcement, and civilians that are local to me, and create a logo and a website and do it.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. That's the first step that anybody has to get out there and do. And I recommend going with a registered agent. It's one of the hardest things to do is figure out all the fucking paperwork. Don't struggle on your own. Get a registered agent. Friggin' Northwest registered agents, what I use. Check them out. I'll put a link in the bio for you. Make it easier. Check them out. It's one of the number one things I always hear from people. I don't know what the fuck to do. It's like, well, can you follow a step-by-step checklist?
Yeah.
Of course. I'm like, well, you can start an LLC. Because it's literally that fucking simple.
Yeah.
And if you fuck up the name, guess what? There's a form they can submit to fix it the next time you come up with a better name. Because that happened to me too. Prestige worldwide. Wait a second. I can't make a missus out of this.
Well, the only downside is that, like, for law enforcement groups, they see the name and they're like, that's friggin' weird. Like, I was at a law enforcement conference like 2 weeks ago in Tinley Park, Chicago, and they see the security thing and they're like, well, I don't, but I probably should have said, I should have changed it, maybe Vanilla Grill Tactical, but whatever. It is what it is. We're not a security company. We're, tactical training company. But, but it's like, on one side, it's like, what the heck is that? That's super weird, quirky name. But on the other side, it's like people remember the name because it's because it's
exactly. Yeah, and once they meet you, they're like, "Oh, it makes sense."
Yeah. Well, at that conference, like I had multiple people come to the table saying, like, "I assume you're the vanilla gorilla." I'm like, and I'm just like, bam, pow. Yes.
You assume correct, sir.
You're very astute. You're very astute. You're very. But
just one time, just be like really shocked, be like, "How dare you? That sounds racist, sir."
Oh yeah. Well, that's the other thing I struggle with. I was like, is this gonna, like, I asked some of my buddies, I'm like, you think this was like a racist name? And they're like, how? Like, how is it racist? And I'm like, yeah, it's not. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna go into the story, but there's a particular thing, poo story of me and the teams that, you know, comes from the gorilla thing. And
Nice.
We had a character thing of our platoon made where it's cartoons, and like my head is normal, but my body is a gorilla and I'm throwing poo. And so there's backstories behind it. But my wife would legitimately say that she does live with a gorilla. So
yeah,
because
it's a fitting name, my man.
I'm a dirtball.
Well, Ben, if people want to check you out and find you on social media or check out what you got going on with your company, where can they go?
They can go to, basically, if you put in Vanilla Gorilla Security, you're going to find everything. The website's vanillagorillsecurity.com. My Instagram is Vanilla Gorilla Security. YouTube is Vanilla Gorilla Security. My Facebook's just Ben Wallick, but I'm pretty sure even if you put Vanilla Gorilla Security on Facebook, my stuff will come up. So, but yeah, you can register for our courses online. You can see all the on our website, like the courses we are running. Most of them, we haven't ventured out to, outside of the Illinois area yet with stuff, but we would like to in the future. But it's all kind of local to Chicago, Peoria, Illinois, kind of areas.
Yeah, I can't wait to. I've got some folks you should link up with and do some training with. But I'll let you know offline. If you guys do me a favor, go ahead and pause, head on over to the episode description, click those links, and do me a favor, send Ben a friend request and check him out. Be nice. Now do me a favor, head on over to the episode description, click the links there, subscribe, like, share, and follow us wherever you go on social media. I appreciate it. Do me one more big favor. In Spotify, we have this awesome new text feature. Send us a direct message. Let me know what you think of this episode or any of the other episodes. It'll go directly to me. I greatly appreciate it. I'm Denny Caballero. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. Till then, take care. Boom. Security Halt Podcast is proudly sponsored by Titans Arms. Head to the episode description and check out Titans Arms today.